Radio Retrofuture.
Let's try.
Yes. Yeah, all of a sudden it was so quiet. It was like, wait, are you still there? Have you died?
Yeah, well, whenever I stop talking, you can assume that I'm not there anymore.
Okay.
It's the only way to let me stop talking.
Okay. Well, that's exactly what I need for my show. So I don't have
Wonderful.
to edit my own voice as much, you know?
Ah, come on.
Let's see. And we actually have a watcher right now. Ah, yes. It's a friend of yours from Germany, Marcus Rausfoot.
Ah.
So,
Hi.
I suggest we'll just start right away and right now. So,
Wonderful.
welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Radio Retro Future. And today I am with Feline Lung of Feline and Strange. Good evening.
Hello there, Earthlings.
Yes. Well, we'll talk about all that. And I have the feeling I wanted to... Oh, right. I wanted to announce something. Earlier this year, I had two gentlemen from South America, Argentina to be exact, Martin Cruz, and the other gentleman's name I can't pronounce right now, who are working on their own web series called Dystopia. And unfortunately, that recording we did failed because I didn't check the sound that time. So, yeah, I had the recording, but none of their voices were on it. So, I made an apology video for that. The gentleman contacted me to announce their upcoming crowdfunding campaign. That will be up in about 2 days. I already posted the link on my Facebook page where you can find the link and see what these gentlemen are working on. It looks really damn impressive. The gentlemen are also...
This is down here. I still have to work on that. How to point to your Facebook page.
Yes.
That way. Yeah.
Yeah, well, now point to the right side of your screen. Yeah, exactly. You have to think about
not
that.
really. I just have a very big finger right now.
So yeah, I'm still need to get used to it. What side of the screen do I need to point my hands at? But anyway, so I'll try to have these gentlemen on at some point again to make up for the last interview, so to speak. So yeah, but enough about that for now. Back to you, Feline. So let's just start about who are you and where could people know you from?
That was the moment where Skype did break the connection. Can you repeat that question, please?
Well, could you introduce yourself to the audience?
Of course. Well, I'm an alien. I don't know where from, but definitely not from this planet. And I can tell you that my companions aren't neither. So, we have a home base in Berlin, which is a good place to be a freak. And, well, Feline and Strange are a 2-piece. We used to be a 6-piece, then a 5-piece, then a 4-piece, then a 3-piece. Now we're a 2-piece with a lot of very nice guests whenever we want to be a 6-piece again. And depending on where we travel. Well, our spaceship is, well, undergoing repairs right now for the last 7 years. So, but we're hoping we can use it later, but not very soon. And, yeah, our 2-piece, well, we try to communicate with the rest of the crew all over the world. We try to communicate with the home world, which will answer someday. And for that, we make a lot of music, try to broadcast this as far as, and try to reach as many persons, human or not, on this planet and others, to find out where the rest of our crew might be. For that, I use my voice, a piano, my computer, and its various possibilities to make music.
You're cutting out there. Come on, Skype, you can do it. You can do it, Skype. Come on. Do it. And every time I have some... Oh. I lost you for a while there, so could you please repeat it from the point you said you were singing to contact your crew?
You want me to repeat all that?
Yes.
Right
yes,
now.
Unfortunately, because Skype didn't,
Skype's typed.
Yes.
I see.
You really should bring some of that alien technology to fix Skype and all my connection problems. That would be great.
Well, you know the Bill Gates is an alien, right? But he's from another planet, so we have no means of communications with him. I just know he's not human.
Okay, well, yeah, I heard he's a reptilian. Are you on friendly terms with them?
Not with the reptilians, but, well, I've tried to get on friendly terms with Bill Gates and his colleagues for a while now, but so far I failed.
Okay. So yeah, interesting story. Could you tell us a little bit about your homeworld?
No, actually I can't. Well, we were transported into human bodies with some of a mission. We don't know much about it either, so we just know we have a mission, but we're still waiting for the moment it will unfold in our brain. So we just have fragments of imagination and recollections. There's a lot of fire. That's why a lot of our songs are about water. Oh, you just doubled on my screen. That's weird.
I needed to press some buttons and I pressed the wrong one.
Okay, I thought it was my brain. Good.
No, don't worry.
I'm not drunk yet today. So, where was I?
You were telling something about you being transported into human bodies.
Yeah. Well, that's it.
Okay. So, how would you describe your musical style? Because it's, well, when I saw you when you were at in the Netherlands, this month, in fact, or was it previous month? I
it was August. Yeah. Well, technically it's a month later, but still.
Yes. And it's quite different from what we get to see usually over here. Like you tell about, in between your songs, you tell about what you encounter on Earth, especially how humans behave.
Oh, yes.
Yes. And also, the songs are connected to what you have to tell. So how would you?
Of course.
Yes. How would you describe that? That particular style.
You know that almost every person asking that question starts with "You're different." Maybe I should just say we're different. I mean, we're alien. But yeah, lately I used the epitome Electro Cabaret. I think that hits it best. Mm-hmm. So many people have compared us, or some of our songs, not all of them, for example, to Dresden Dolls, because I'm playing the piano, I'm shouting a lot on stage, and yeah, especially the songs with Crystal bangs on things instead of hitting his cello. No, I mean stroking his cello, but maybe that's because our last 3 albums were recorded with Brian Viglione on the drums, which is a lot of fun, and I'm pretty sure he's on the same planet as us. But still, we're not the Dresden Dolls. I'm a different kind of singer, and we have a lot of electronics involved. And also there's the cello, of course, which adds a lot of, of this old-fashioned and sometimes a little kitschy style. So we both, I have to admit, we love to cry at the cinema and at weddings and other people's weddings, and the cello fits pretty well with some of the more melodramatic songs I'm writing. So, and it fits with my mezzo-soprano voice, actually.
Yes.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. I also have, for those interested, I will post a link to a video I recorded of your show in the Netherlands. However, what I probably better should have asked, what inspired, what humans inspired you when you started with these shows. Yeah.
With the show, for the shows or for the music? I mean, they're connected, but still.
Okay.
But there's because there's two answers, and I can give you both. But which I'll start with the shows. That's easy. I mean, it's about being strange, being a stranger, feeling strange, being not what people see in me, in us, leading a kind of double identity, living a double life. It's what's inside most of the songs and also the show. And the style of music is inspired a lot by classical music, because both Christoph and I are classical musicians. I'm an opera singer by training, and I used to work as an opera singer for years. And Christoph and I and the other band members, we had an opera troupe before Feline and Strange started. So it was like 7 years making our own opera arrangements for a small band instead of an orchestra, and from that writing my own songs and working in a similar style, and from then developing what we do today.
Yes, and I had a question ready. Yeah, so when you write your songs, from what point do you begin? Do you begin from this is the kind of story you want to tell on stage, or is there just some inspiration for a song and then you make a skit around that?
Different. Depends on the song. Well, most of my songs started with a line with some words, or just one word actually, on idea. So with the lyrics, and then I wrote the music around that. Sometimes the lyrics came already with a rhythm or even with a melody, and I just had to fill the gaps. But lately, especially the last new album that we're just right now preparing, I wrote that in a very special situation. I was in residency in Marseille, and they locked me into a studio with a piano and a computer and said, okay, go write songs. I did. So it was a very intense time period, and I tried to first to write lyrics and as I was used to, but most of those songs actually started with me tinkering around on the piano or working on sounds on the computer or on some patterns, and from that getting an idea what that song was about, and then writing the lyrics. So what I'm saying is I started with writing the lyrics and then composing music around that, and lately I'm doing it the other way around.
Right.
Not as a rule, but yeah, this has changed a lot.
Mm-hmm. So this was just for the last album that they basically locked you up.
Yeah.
Is that something you intend to do more often?
Yes.
Yes.
Hell yeah. That was one of the best times in my life. I mean, I'm a musician, and when people lock me in and say make music, we give you food and energy on a piano, so make music and we feed you. That's perfect. Okay. There's no better way to live, especially as there was a super good show at the end of this residency with hundreds of people, and where we could actually present some of the new songs and including a road show, and so that was like perfect, and I would like to do that a lot more. Yes.
And how did that come about? That sudden that studio situation. Were you looking for that, or?
Well, yes, I was applying to wonderful, thank you, girls, through the music board, which is part of Berlin Senate, and as far as I know, one of the few institutions worldwide that support pop music, like as opposed to classical and jazz, which is a typical German phenomenon, I think, to separate in serious and non-serious music, but at least we have the music board caring about that. So I applied to them. First I just asked for money, and then they called me and said, okay, we can offer you a residency instead. And I said, yes, please. Wow. And it was sponsored by Goethe Institute, which is also amazing, and I did never expect that because I'm not writing mostly I'm not writing in German language, but turned out they didn't care about that. They are very open-minded, obviously, about German culture. So, they considered me German culture, and so this little alien went to France and wrote a song in English language, which was recorded in America, and,
Okay.
Maybe we will release it on the moon.
Yeah, well, who knows? Well, maybe you can travel along with Elon Musk's upcoming project SpaceX program.
Yeah.
Yeah, they want to go to Mars in 2018, so, you know.
Yeah, but the problem is there's no coming back, and actually I like Earth.
Yeah.
I like it much better than Mars. Mars is dry and cold and dark and red, and I prefer green, fresh, sunny Earth, actually.
Okay.
Especially after this extraordinary summer we had in Europe right now.
Okay. Let's see. So we already talked about how your latest album came about. So how did the transition go from opera singing to Feline and Strange, and most notably because I only know you from the steampunk music scene, whatever that means. So how did that transition go?
Oh, smoothly. So I'm still doing opera from time to time. Right now I'm not singing, but putting on stage an opera production, which will release in November in Berlin. I'm doing the art opera job still. So for me, there's not much of a difference. It's just about how to use your voice. Opera is not a style. Classical singing is not like a style. It's just testing how far you can go with your voice and use your tools. It's like opening up and not restricting. Okay. So I've never only sung opera. So I started out my training as an actress. I sung a lot of Brechtian cabaret songs and chanson. I always loved that. I did a little bit of just a tiny little bit of jazz and a lot of South American music, especially tango. I had so my second career after studying acting was as a tango singer. I toured for several years as a tango singer, and from the point of singing, that's rather chanson than classical, at least for women. And after that, I started the opera career, where more or less parallel. Started the opera troupe as well, and I was never only exclusively singing classical, never. Mm-hmm. So no, it didn't feel like a transition. It's just like I'm choosing to sound like this right now, and then I choose to sound like this right now. Sometimes I fail, but most times it goes easily.
They lock you up in the studio and... Yeah,
right.
And so, but how did you... What was your introduction into the steampunk music?
Well, do you know the science fiction album?
Sorry, once again?
The science fiction album, do you know that?
No, not yet. Not yet.
So, if you permit, this is it.
Yes.
It was our second, and it's a concept album, and it holds a story, a full novel about being an alien on Earth. And more or less the story I told you right now, mm-hmm. Which connects the songs to a kind of novel. And maybe you can see it if I hold it very close to the camera.
Yes.
There's this spaceship.
Little bit farther away.
There's the spaceship over Berlin.
Yes.
And the 5-piece, we were right then mm-hmm. in our old-fashioned costume. So the idea was we're aliens, landed on Earth in the wrong time and trying to orient and trying to find out who we are, where we belong. But the content of the album actually is about somebody who and the song Science Fiction, which is like a common denominator for the whole album, is about somebody who feels alien on Earth, and drifts off into insanity, and in the end builds a bomb and destroys Earth. So that's the story of science fiction. And when I wrote that, I had not heard the word steampunk ever, I have to admit. So when the album came out, or just before, when we put out a little bit of press issues and stuff, also wrote to a lot of bloggers and science fiction and comic bloggers, and just because of the album title. And then somebody sent me a link to blog, which started, I just found an amazing new steampunk band. It's Feline and Strange. And me, what the hell is steampunk? So that's how it all started.
Okay. Yeah, well, it happens.
And then we found out... Sorry?
Well, I wanted to say it happens to most people, actually, to be just get included under the steampunk umbrella, so to speak.
Yeah.
So,
it feels very nice and warm and soft there. And when I started researching, I found out that we've been steampunks all along. So this is everything we always have been fascinated with. It's all the books we ever read. It's all the stuff we did. We had 2 engineers in the group who have been tinkering with stuff all along, and also the microphone. I'm standing behind on the title. Our piano player back then.
Mm-hmm.
He built it.
Right.
That guy from trash. So he found stuff on the street, collected that, made the microphone, and gave it to us as a birthday present. And it was so beautiful that we decided to put it on the cover.
Right. Yeah. The upcycling, so to speak, of used material. Yes. Wonderful. And so what else is steampunk to you?
It's always the best question, the hardest to answer, right? What else is steampunk to me? First, a lot of fun. And, Germans tend to take many things very seriously. So there is... I've found fun groups in different languages who are discussing about what is steampunk and what not, and can you do this and still call it steampunk? I think you know those groups as well. So, but I think in Germany it's rather extreme. People like to lock themselves into a drawer and not to come out with their tentacles.
Mm-hmm.
The steampunk scene in Germany is still very small, and in most cities rather connected to the Gothic scene, which is also a lot of fun if you look at it very closely. And
I know what you mean.
You know, to see the color and all the black, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So, sorry, didn't want to scare you. Maybe I would, but still, later. Let's do the scaring part later. So, where was I? Gothic, steampunk. Yeah, what is steampunk? I tried to wriggle myself out of the question, what is steampunk to me? Yeah, fun. In America, I found it's very much connected to the comic and science fiction scene. I like that a lot. And for me, it's storytelling. Yeah, I think that's one of the most important parts, at least for musicians.
Mm-hmm.
All musicians, music acts, and also other performance acts are storytelling, as well as most people are who invent a costume. They also invent a story, a biography, and with all these backstories, a true steampunk is always telling stories, right? Telling stories with his or her costume, and in a chat, playing a role, telling stories about themselves, about their past and future. And there's a lot of room for impossible things, in the sense of everything you can think is also possible. It's just a matter of time.
Right.
And this is also a point that I like very much about steampunk, the toying around with alternate realities. Mm-hmm. It's a topic that has always fascinated me, especially when reading, of course. It's most present there, but reading or watching movies. I just like the theory with the trousers of time, so alternate universes. So I actually think this is a real theory and not just a game.
Yeah.
And so that makes people open-minded, I hope. If you can think of that everything is possible in one word or the other, or that the world could have developed a lot different from what we know today. I like to think that that keeps minds open and people open to perceive what is actually there and what is actually happening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, it's funny now I think about it that Germany, because of its history, is often at the center of what-if scenarios.
Yes.
What
Of course.
if something Hitler, for example, or what is a very interesting theory, but I haven't seen it as much. What if Germany was never unified by Bismarck?
Yeah.
It's
For example.
it's really interesting to speculate on that, and steampunk is a perfect genre for that, absolutely.
Of course.
And now you mentioned it.
I mean, maybe just because in that time period, so much happened. I mean, the world has never changed so fast when in the end of the 19th century, right?
You could say that. Right now everything is moving at such enormous speed. We now have a 24-hour news
with
circle.
Industrialization and with all those discoveries and inventions that were made, they are the basis of what we have today, right?
Right. Yeah, it's a big topic, but we've got let's say the period 1870. 1920. I mean, we've got the French-German War, the unification of Germany. We've got the race for Africa. We've got extreme naval expansion. We've got the United States that is making its entrance on the international stage. We have Japan that is forced out of its isolation. We've got nations coming into their own and saying we demand our own countries. Of course, and the technological revolution, which is shaping how wars are fought, but also how people look at themselves. Like you use the metaphor of an alien, but back then the idea of humans as a robot, as a biological machine,
right,
became popular, and people started to think. When I just talked about Ghost in the Shell before the episode started, where is the line between man and machine? Where does human consciousness end and machine intelligence begin? And where's the difference? So yeah, all those questions start to surface in that era. So yes, there are. It's such a big topic, really. But maybe you're welcome to have a panel on that if you want, because it is very interesting, I must say. But let's see how far we are in. By the way, okay, half an hour. I want to talk about your business model because you don't sell CDs, right?
We do. We produced 4, and then I decided I felt bad about that all the time. I mean, it's just like little discs of plastic, and they used to have all these ugly jewel boxes around them. I never did a CD with a jewel box, thank God. But it's a lot of package, and nowadays most people I know, at least, well, I do that. I just take the CD home, copy it on my computer whenever I have time, which means a lot of fuss with connecting the external drive and stuff, and sometimes I forget about it entirely, and so at some point I have it on my phone or on my computer, and I listen to the MP3. So and I store the WAV file, which is exactly the exact copy from the CD, and at some point I usually throw the CD away, because after 10 years it's not legible anymore. So what is the point of producing a CD? So we decided to not put out any more plastic CDs in the world. So we will just release the new album online. So whoever wants to have a CD can download WAV files from our Bandcamp page, which is actually the only portal where you can buy high resolution audio files in a normal, easy and legal way in Germany, which sucks.
Yeah.
And another reason to sell by this means, and not by iTunes and Amazon and whatever, exclusively. And at some point we will make a vinyl, which is more or less a question of time and money. But I can totally see the point of having a vinyl, because no digital resolution will ever reach analog, because there is no resolution, it's just the sound wave.
Right.
And also a lot of people want collectibles. I can also understand that, especially with our music, which is very special.
It is.
So, but yeah, what I wanted to say is, who wants a CD, for whatever reason, can buy the download and burn a CD on any computer.
Right.
So that's easy. But I don't have to put out, and by the way, store tons of these CDs, which will rot and get old in a few years anyway.
Yeah.
So what for?
Yeah, exactly. The digital medium is a very good solution for small publications.
Yeah. Well, not only for small, but I mean, I guess 99% of sales worldwide are downloads now, and even with the major labels. So, and it makes a lot of sense. It's still not like 100% CO2 free, because all those servers have to be run. But I guess it's still a lot better than putting out CDs.
Yeah, well, it has so many benefits. I mean, when I was young, I had a Discman, which is like that big a device, and now I can listen music from my small Samsung, and with just as much joy, if not more, because you can fit a lot more songs and of different bands on that single device than on one.
And it doesn't skip when you run.
Oh yeah. Oh.
I remember that.
Yeah. I always listen to them in the car, and then so I didn't close the bag properly, and the CDs would fall out and scratches, and oh dear.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
I had that moment when you find the box of a CD you have been looking for ages, and you open it and it's empty.
Yeah. I'll just store it in this CD cover for a while. Just for a while, and yeah. I remember that. It's I wonder if the next generation will even recognize that issue. But yeah, there's so many things changing these days, and so fast it's hard to keep up. I now have to explain to children during events how dial telephones work,
Yeah.
So.
But I doubt that CDs will ever get like a nostalgic item. I have seen people doing tapes again, so I don't understand that, because I hated cassette tapes. They did everything wrong. They got old after a few months, and you couldn't do good copies on them. They always tangled up, at least with me.
Yeah.
And you couldn't find the song you were looking for without spooling for ages, and even then it was always on the other side. So I hated CDs, so I don't get why people become nostalgic about that. But I personally doubt that CDs will reach this state, even if they're more practical. Maybe because they're more practical, but they're just so ugly.
Yeah, I'm happy I am not depending on CDs anymore. You know, other than when I forget my Samsung in the car, I can play a CD because I don't have one of those fancy schmancy MP3 players yet. So, yeah.
But usually, most people play it on their phone anyway, and usually you have your phone on you wherever you go. So
Yeah, it's almost like a symbiotic relationship, you know.
Yeah.
You start to feel something is missing when you forgot to put it in your bag or something. So, but yeah, I guess that is the kind of relationship that steampunkers do seek with their technology. So, yeah. But yeah, it's kind of freaky that way. Yeah, so we've got about 10 more minutes. Is there something you would like to talk about or discuss? Something I've missed or skipped over?
Well, oh my god, right now. I should have prepared a list. Let
me see
Well, we were talking about our business model.
Right.
So, there's something more to add. It's not only not putting our CDs anymore, but we're trying to establish a little more the Patreon thing in Europe, especially in Germany, where most people don't know about it. You have a Patreon page as well. You know what I'm talking about, and I guess most people watching the stream will as well. So I don't bother. You can look it up. It's Patreon.com. See down there.
Please support this channel on Patreon.
Yeah, the thing with Patreon is I think that's a model to follow to succeed the old-fashioned way of publishing music. I know we all know that the big dinosaurs like Sony, EMI, they're dying, and they try their best to defend their graveyards. I'd like to say so. Trying to go against YouTube, to go against piracy, to make people criminal who listen to music. I know there's a point of stealing music, but actually, when somebody copies a download, which I would not even call stealing, it's rather like borrowing, because you're listening to it and then it's gone, and you can even delete it. So it's if somebody's borrowing a download from my page, even if he's never investing a single cent into the music, he's still adding to my play numbers. So he's doing me a benefit. Right. And actually, I'd rather have people stealing my music. Do it, folks. Do it right now. It's on YouTube. Than never listening to it. And I think that's what the majors just don't get. And people who never listen to a song won't ever buy a CD. But I've had many cases where people listen to our songs on YouTube and then came to the concert, bought a ticket, and bought a T-shirt, which is,
for example,
to support us, or just to have it and to actually wear it. And they told their friends about it, or they bought CDs and gave them to their friends. Or even if they made copies from the downloaded song, gave it to their friends, some of those people became Patreons, and they're now helping us to release more songs. Awesome. And I think this is how this can work in the future. There's so many of us now, so many musicians, so many listeners, and so many people who want to earn money or to get famous with music without being musicians, like managers, like writers, like bloggers, like you. And this all can still work, but I think we're going back to individual now. There was a golden age of making and selling music just between recording and a playing device in every household. So let's say the 30s of the last century, and the availability of first electronic production, so everybody can make music without buying expensive equipment, and a second digital copy, so you can copy loss less, and so have an original copy, not like those freaking cassettes back then, of the music you want. And this golden age is over. Golden age also meant that the labels were telling the musicians what to do. So I prefer it this way. I can do whatever I want. It's the struggle is hard, no matter in which age people lived. It was never easy. It was never easy to get a contract with a record company back then. It was easier to make an impact if you were special, if you got the chance, if you were at the right time at the right place and hit the right people and played enough shows. An impact like the Beatles, I think, is next to impossible these days. But the advantage is that there's a lot more Beatles than in the last centuries. You just have to find them. So that's why I think a model like Patreon is the future of the music industry. Because of course musicians need money to work. We need money to release because it just costs money. And even if we have day jobs and earn our living somewhere else, we still need money to publish our music. And so I can only ask all of you, find the music you love and support your musicians, but do it directly. Don't do it by going to a shop and buy a CD. But go to their show and buy a CD directly from them. And don't go to iTunes or Amazon and buy ratty MP3s, but go to the page of the musician and look if they have the stream, or even a Patreon page, or a Bandcamp page, which is pay what you want for most musicians. So there's a lot of ways to support musicians, which always makes them make more music. So if you want more music from us, then just come to us and ask, and support us a little.
Same goes for YouTubers.
Yes, of course, of course. Artists. I should say artists, not musicians. But yeah, it's the same for all of us.
Yeah.
It's the same with painters. For example, the traditional art market is dying as well. Even if a painting is an original, as opposed to a song or a video or a book, but still there's a lot of digital art around as well. But yeah, painters and what's the English word? Sculpture makers.
Yeah, well, exactly.
You know what I mean. All kind of art you can touch.
Yeah.
They have to find new ways as well, and we're artists. We're inventing stuff. We're not only inventing art, we're also inventing new ways of communicating with our fans and friends and supporters. So
yeah, well, it's really interesting, and being on YouTube and following what happened, and especially what's happening, what YouTube did these last few months. Like, YouTubers are relying more and more on their Patreons because they could be demonetized or kicked off of YouTube entirely from one day to the next. So, yeah, there's more and more artists of all kinds. And there's also a number of benefits to that because... first of all, the artists will keep the copyright for their own material. No one else owns it. Like you already mentioned, Sony. You don't want to know what kind of property Sony owns.
Nope.
But
especially, we're happy. We're lucky in Germany because in Germany an artist keeps their own copyright. You can't sell a copyright. You can just rent it out to a publisher or something. But nobody can take your copyright from you. And so we're very lucky about that. I know that in most other countries that's a totally different thing, and it's really dangerous.
It is, and because you've got like game creators have that problem. Like there are franchises out there that the game creators want to continue, but they don't own the copyright, so they cannot publish their own creations.
Yeah, right.
And meanwhile, companies like Sony don't even use it, but they refuse to sell their copyright back to the original creators. it's madness. And
Yeah.
thanks to Patreon and other forms of crowdfunding, there are a lot of very suspicious crowdfundings and rather questionable personalities who don't have actual merit, yet people pay them. So there's that, but that's people's own choice.
Yes.
Well, we do not control what people want to do with their money. If they want to support some person they feel sorry for, whatever, it's your money.
Yes, of course.
But
So you should do with your money what makes you happy, of course.
yeah,
Sometimes it makes you happy to help other persons make something that makes you happy.
exactly.
That should be the deal.
It's entirely true. It's entirely true. How questionable we might find these things at times, but who are we to judge? Patreon. I also talked about Mark Petty about this because there seems to be a lot of resentment from certain artists or circles of artists who don't enjoy the idea of Patreon for some reason.
I don't know why. Don't ask me that.
Yeah, I don't really understand it either. Maybe they consider it begging, or maybe they feel like when you're with a label that gives you a certain. Maybe I should ask Mark about this, but maybe it gives
Yeah, but
them
the begging thing that has something. I know it's hard to like stand there and say, I've got something for you, give me money, because I made it. Because we all learn in our culture, at least from childhood on, that making art is just a hobby. It's fun,
It's
and
true.
that it should be reward enough to be an artist.
Yes.
It's really, really, really hard
Well,
to say, okay, I want money for what I did. I even have a hard time selling CDs, even if people want to throw money at me, and even if everybody knows that making a CD, no matter what's on it, it costs money. So it's material.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, that is something. So Patreon makes it a lot easier because Patreon does the begging for me.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly, and I do it too, I often post my links to Patreon, like, I could really use the support. I need an more expensive internet connection just to have the stream going,
Of course.
And, I want better equipment and stuff like that, and, for me...
I want a manager.
Well, for example, all those things cost money, and...
Oh, yes.
And, people don't realize, I love what you do, I love it, I really do, but, I could use some support.
Of course.
But it's just your hobby, right? It's just your hobby, right? Well, but I also do it for you. For me, it's supposed to be a two-way street,
Well, actually, I think there is no such thing as a hobby. It's all part of evolving,
Right.
of making the best of who you are. And in the state of our society, I mean, we're all very privileged in Western Europe. And theoretically, our society could be switching to giving everybody money to live, and everybody does what they like, and the rest is done by robots. I mean, all this science fiction, it's already possible. People just stick to what they know, and they don't, they're resilient to change because that touches some moral issues we have been carrying around for 2,000 years, which is, not so easy to change, I guess.
Yeah,
Maybe
well...
we will live to see the change, but, the hobby thing, I think that doesn't exist anymore, because, at least in our privileged part of the world, we can do whatever we really want to. The hard thing is to find out what you want to. And
I agree.
those of us who found and do it, most people envy them, and that makes it even harder to beg for help.
Yeah, it's a big issue, but I really enjoy the idea of cottage industry coming back. That's basically what Patreon does for me. That it allows people who like artists and people like that who regularly create content and say, well, this is what I do. If you enjoy it, please support my Patreon. I'll do commissions for you. I'll do some little extra thing for you because you support me. Like I'm making an episode now that I will first paste on Patreon and post it later on other channels. So yeah, the Patreons get the preview, so to speak. They should also be the people who influence my content the most, because they're the ones who support the show, and that counts for something. People don't give you money just because.
Yes.
Well, there are people
right.
like that, but once again, we're not allowed to have people decide what they do with their money. But with that, I think we have we've made quite some time. Patreon, very interesting platform. Support it for anyone who considers to start their own little cottage industry. Do you have any final last message for the viewers back home?
Well, I guess it will be the same as always. Keep strange, folks, and watch the sky.
Okay, and with that, we'll just finish this episode of Radio Retrofuture. Next week is the 4th of October, if I'm correct. Yes, when I will have a very special guest from another kind of subculture, which is Team Fielding, who is a comic book artist from a genre called Afrofuturism. A whole new topic for me, so I am very curious what Tim has to tell us. I hope you will be looking forward to that, because I know I will. Also, I put the trailer up for our upcoming Halloween event, which is a ragtag event in the south of the Netherlands. For those who can't go, please watch the trailer. I think you'll enjoy it. My final words are, as always, make it your way.